of June 2024. Welcome to Camnet Menus at 19:30. To present it, my name is Naomi Msoya. We take a look at stories making headlines this evening. Police ordered to halt illegal checkpoints and roadblocks immediately. President Hakainde Hichilema reverses decision on early parking of public service vehicles. Water crisis hits some compounds in MONGU district. In international news, protesters storm Kenya's parliament as MPs pass finance bill. In sports, former Brighton coach ZERBI to join French league club Marseille. For these and more stories after the break.
Enjoy the benefits of an instant loan with us ranging from 1,000 kwacha to 750,000 kwacha paid express once collateral is viewed, valued and verified. Call us on 0763 595 359 or 0779 432 993. Classified Financial Express, here as your financial friend.
And now the news in detail. Residents in MONGU District's Western Province are urging ZESCO Limited to exempt vital institutions from the extended power outages affecting the country. Reverend Kennedy Chisompa, the minister in charge of the Mulambwa Congregation of the United Church of Zambia, has appealed to ZESCO management to spare institutions like hospitals, mills and water utilities from the prolonged power cuts. More in this report.
Some MONGU residents are appealing to ZESCO to spare water utility from the prolonged power outage affecting the country. The outage is due to low water levels at the Kariba Dam, caused by drought resulting from climate change. Residents of Mulambwa compound rely on the United Church of Zambia to access water, which serves over 200 people. In an interview with this reporter, some residents expressed concern about the matter.
Matakuya kwa ule kuyo watakuwa bana niwe mapo hapi nibo na bana ni challenge niona malaiti haya ile nishindo na saba ko kompromisi yabo sikindo yebuto kwa huru kwa mutuka ufira at least neke malaiti haya then meziona balusiera kwa teni then fo aluna butata neka inyani aluna kuvira era abapira kwa kusina mezi butata wabuliteni kikuli kukaba ni matuku ashutana.
Meanwhile, Mulambwa United Church of Zambia, Minister in charge, Reverend Kennedy Sompa, is urging ZESCO to accept 3 essential institutions, namely health, mirrors and water utility from the power outage.
We have been having a lot of challenges as a church. We have a lot of people that come here to fetch water, like more than 200 people, especially when power cuts. That if ZESCO can prioritize these 3 institutions, that is Eastern Water and Sewerage, and if they can also prioritize the millers, those that are producing meal, I think those are major issues, as well as the hospitals, because these are a major institution that sustain the life of a human being. So if we prioritize, or they prioritize these institutions, I think it will be safer and people will be more understanding. But if power outage is affecting all these institutions, then there's nothing that we are doing.
Mulambwa compound is one of the main areas affected by water shortages due to the power outage. Musiaba Kavira, Camnet News in MONGU District, Western Province.
Meanwhile, residents of Lusaka's Kalingalinga compound have welcomed President Hakainde Hichilema's directive to exempt hospitals from power cuts during the ongoing load shedding. Margaret Lovu, a resident, says the decision will ensure that health facilities operate effectively and deliver prompt medical services to patients. During a presidential address Tuesday morning, President Hakainde Hichilema reiterated his instruction that hospitals should not experience power cuts. More in this report.
Load shedding has continued to be a passed-down occurrence for Zambian governments. During the Patriotic Front administration, the country suffered blackouts that lasted 4 to 8 hours a day, and when in opposition, the United Party for National Development, UPND, vehemently articulated on how, if voted for, would ensure that Zambians never go a day without power. The head of state, on numerous occasions, took to his social media platforms to express his concerns, and I quote, "There cannot be any serious economic activities that can create jobs without addressing the energy sector, fuel and electricity," he said on July 8, 2020. In the third year of the party being in power, load shedding has become a major problem as citizens have continuously complained about the electricity supply situation. But during his presidential address this morning, President Hakainde Hichilema has assured the public that government has made various steps in addressing the situation and are working on a lifeline power supply for small businesses in communities that have negatively been affected by the energy insecurity caused by the El Nino-induced drought.
We have put in place measures, citizens. Open access to be operationalized, meaning whoever generates power here can send it to a customer there. In between here, there's a ZESCO transmission line. ZESCO is now obligated to carry that power. Before, ZESCO had a choice to carry that power or not. That choice has been taken away from ZESCO. They have to carry that power from generation point to the consumption point, where it's needed. Be it a small restaurant in that corner, be it a hospital in that corner, be it a water installation in that corner. That power must move. Open access to operationalize. What else are we doing? We bring in private sector, formalizing the private sector traders in power so they can trade efficiently from producers inside the country, outside the country, to where it's needed.
Meanwhile, residents of Kalingalinga Township have commended the directive from the head of state that all health facilities must not be load-shaded.
So at least my president clinics
is recommendable, is very commendable, because a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. So without electricity, it will affect obviously the smooth operation of the health facilities, and also it acts as also a deterrent, as a security measure. As a health facility, if there's no power, obviously it's easy for thieves to steal the...
Cherish Sibote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
President Hakainde Hichilema has emphasized the need for Zambia to unite in addressing the impacts of the El Nino drought, urging a focus on pertinent issues rather than irrelevant debates. Speaking during a presidential address Tuesday, the head of state also rescinded a directive from Secretary to the Cabinet which required all public service vehicles to be packed by 18 hours daily. He says the decision aims to ensure continuous service delivery and prevent disruptions to the work of public service employees who are essential for meeting the public's needs. Recently, Secretary to the Cabinet, Patrick Kangwa, issued several directives, vehicles at 18 hours to mitigate the waste of public resources and challenges posed by climate-induced food and energy insecurities.
We should be working 24/7 every day. The President is taking the lead. You must do the same. Ministers must do the same. Everybody, including a cleaner, must do the same. And I'm inviting the private sector to do similar things. If they're not already ahead of us, I believe they're ahead of us, but we want to basically work together at back. As a consequence of that, you heard me say that work is not 8 hours to 17 hours. That's hanging around. We expect work done all the time. Mr. Kangwa, Secretary of Cabinet, I'm overriding your decision. From today, civil servants who have access to transport must have that access to transport 24 hours in a day. So that it is not the reason they are not delivering. Are you together? Are we together? It's not the reason they are not working because, no, I couldn't respond to this because I've been told by Secretary of Cabinet that I parked my car and I can't use it. Your cars will be available. After all, they are taxpayers' cars. Use them responsibly, sparingly, to deliver for the owners of the cars. I hope, Secretary of Cabinet, you can.
Opposition Citizens First Party has accused government of avoiding independent questions from journalists during press briefings at State House. Party spokesperson Frank Sichoni says the media must be given the liberty to ask questions with no restrictions. Meanwhile, the opposition party claims that President HICHILEMA missed an opportunity during his address to re-echo the need for a supplement budget that addresses the high cost of living.
Reaction to the President's press conference, we have observed that when there's a press conference, the President has been avoiding the journalists. He has been avoiding to be asked questions on spot so that he can be able to provide answers to the questions. We say this because each time there's a press conference, the President, through the PS, Mr. Kawana, says that the questions to be asked should be just restricted to what is talked about. What about issues that he has not touched on, which people want to know about? What about issues to do with the cost, maybe the cost of living, which is going high? And recently we saw the Minister of Finance issuing that supplement budget. And these are the issues that people could have wanted to find out more about. The issue of JJ Banda, we don't want it to be quiet. JJ Banda was abducted, and up to now we still don't know why they're still holding on to him. The issue which is trending is this Vietnamese investor which has come out also of procuring over 6 million hectares of land. Now, he cannot just depend on ZDA or these people answering on his behalf. This is an opportunity the President should have just come out whether this is true or not. The journalists worldwide, whether you go on CNN or any media platform, whether it's American president or so, the journalists are free to ask the President anytime on behalf of the citizens.
Adaptive Leadership Zambia has highlighted that HIV knowledge remains limited among adolescents, particularly those residing in rural areas, during their 2019-2023 project cycle. Speaking during the results dissemination meeting marking the successful closeout of the 2019-2023 project implementation cycle Tuesday, Organization National Coordinator Agatha Ndalami stressed the urgent need for enhanced efforts to reduce HIV transmission. She observed that many adolescents are not efficiently conscious about contracting the virus. Meanwhile, Lusaka District Commissioner Rose Zulu affirmed the government's commitment to achieving zero HIV infections by 2030, aligning with Vision 2030. Here's a report.
According to data from UNAIDS, in 2020, approximately 1.5 million people were living with HIV in Zambia, with over 40,000 new infections occurring among young people aged 15 to 24 In a bid to meet the zero HIV target by 2030, a non-governmental organization focused on behavioral change approaches to HIV prevention and other health issues, Adaptive Leadership Zambia has revealed through the dissemination meeting to mark the successful closeout of the 2019 to 2023 project implementation cycle that adolescents continue to grapple with limited information on HIV in Zambia, especially rural areas. Speaking during the meeting, Organization National Coordinator Agatha Ndalamei called for more strengthened engagements to keep the increase in HIV cases being recorded, citing lack of care to contract the virus among various individuals in the country.
How they can be treated for HIV, STIs, but people have limited knowledge. That's why we created the AYP package to equip them while they're still young with the age-appropriate information. The TBT rates go down over time in the 22 districts that we're implementing. We've seen an increase in the PrEP uptake among the 10 to 24-year-olds. We've seen an increase in adolescents and young people testing for HIV. We've seen an increase in the provision of PEP. We've seen a constant trend in the new adolescent girls and young women.
Meanwhile, the Lusaka District Commissioner, represented by the Administrative Officer Oniu Chia, pledged the government's commitment to ensuring a reduction in cases of HIV through various interventions.
Zambia has been a partner of the government from 2019 to 2023 in reducing new HIV infections among adolescents and young people. The government and the people appreciate the work you have done. Let us also recognize the strength of the adolescents and young people in our communities. They are navigating a world filled with unprecedented challenges, and it is our duty to equip them with the knowledge, skills, and resources to make.
As the fight against HIV continues, collective efforts and organizations like Adaptive Leadership Zambia play a crucial role in ensuring the battle against HIV is won. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Zambia's Environmental Management Agency, ZERBI, and the Zambia Information and Communications Technology Authority, ZICTA, have received technical support from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to establish an extended producer responsibility system. Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, Dr. Dauti Chibamba, says this initiative aims to enhance the management of electric and electronic waste across the country. He stressed that the government has implemented various policies to combat pollution and its detrimental effects on human health. Dr. Chibamba further explained that the EPR system will ensure that producers remain accountable for each product they manufacture, even after its use. More in this report.
The Zambia Environment Management Agency, ZERBI, and Zambia Information Communications and Technology Authority, ZICTA, have received technical assistance from the International Telecommunication Union in form of financial support from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia through its Communications, Space and Technology Commission to realize the implementation of an EPR system on regulations governing waste from electrical and electronic equipment in Zambia. The project aims to provide Zambia with the tools and steps underpinning the system requirements for the management of e-waste in a circular economy. Speaking at the meeting, Ministry of Green Economy and Environment Permanent Secretary Dr. Dauti Chibamba says the financial assistance will help the country manage e-waste efficiently.
My thanks to Communications, Space and Technology Commission for the Government of Saudi Arabia for their technical support towards this important endeavor, which I believe will yield tangible results for mutual benefits. As I conclude, I urge you to fully participate and provide your technical expertise to this process in order to ensure attainment of a viable and sustainable circular economy in Zambia. This is an important process for sustainable national development, especially that the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment has a big role to play in transitioning Zambia to a green.
And ZEMA Acting Director for Operations, Christopher Kanema, says the EPR will complement the agency's efforts. He says the agency has also drafted a bill that is currently at the Ministry of Justice that will stipulate the categories of harmful e-waste for manufacturers and consumers.
We went to propose another regulation that is specifically looking at e-waste. So this regulation is being with the Ministry of Justice, and we're just waiting for feedback from there so that we finalize. Now, the aspect of developing this electronic waste regulation came as a result of some of the challenges that we faced.
Meanwhile, ZICTA's Director for Engineering and Technical Services, Colin Zimbulo, has called on other stakeholders to support the initiative to ensure that e-waste is properly handled.
Process of engaging the key stakeholders, because like it is mentioned from Martin there, we have to get a buy-in from the key stakeholders in the sector. So ZICTA and ZEMA are fully engaged and fully involved in this process, where all the stakeholders are being involved. Now, what do we anticipate at the end of this process? We anticipate to put in place an EPR system with this support that we have. What this system will mean is that as a country, we have a modern system that will help us to manage electronic waste.
The EPR is an environmental policy approach in which a producer's responsibility for a product is extended to the post-consumer stage of the product's life cycle. However, since 2011, when the Environmental Management Act (EMA) was enacted, Article 58 has neither been implemented nor administrative and financial mechanisms elaborated to provide any specific obligations for producers in the country. Cherish Sibote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
A state witness from the Democratic Republic of Congo has told the Lusaka Magistrate Court that former Foreign Affairs Minister Joe Malangi does not own companies in that country as claimed. Charles Kabozia, a general prosecutor at the Magistrate Ministry of Public Affairs in DRC, narrated before Magistrate Irene Wishimanga that all the documentations linked to the purported companies in that country were fake. This is in a case where Mr. Malangi is charged with 8 counts of being in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime, while Mr. Yamba is facing 2 counts of willful failure to comply with applicable law contrary to the laws of Zambia. More in this following report.
A general prosecutor at the Magistrate Ministry of Public Affairs from the Democratic Republic of Congo, Charles Kabozia, has told the Lusaka Magistrate Court that claims of owning companies in the DRC by former Minister of Foreign Affairs Joe Malangi and allegations of the said companies being part of the wealth he amassed is fake. Appearing before Lusaka Magistrate Irene Wishimanga, where Mr. Malangi is jointly charged with former Secretary to the Treasury Fredson Yamba, facing 8 counts of possessing property deemed to be proceeds of crime, while Mr. Yamba faces 2 counts of willful failure to comply with laid down procedure related to a procurement of a chancery in Turkey. Mr. Kabozia told court in his testimony that last year in 2023 he conducted the investigations after an order from the Prosecutor General in DRC to investigate and verify the pieces of document which came from Zambia and later prepare a report at the conclusion of the investigation and verification. He submits before Magistrate Wishimanga that two companies alleged to have been behind lucrative activities on behalf of Mr. Malanji in DRC, namely China Civil Engineering Corporation and Mass Investment Group SAO, through his Zambian incorporated company Gibson Power Systems, registered in Kitwe, Zambia, was submitted for investigations. The state witness says in order to ascertain and verify the claims, it investigated bank transactions through Raw Bank, China Civil Engineering Corporation, Judicial Brigade, Lubumbashi Commission for Oaths, One Window Office, and General Management of Large Services. He says after the investigations and verification, it was concluded that all the documents Mr. Malanji had submitted in relation to the companies he owns. He says after the investigations and verification was concluded, all the documents Mr. Malanji had submitted in relation to the companies he purportedly owns in DRC were fake. In this matter, Mr. Malanji and former Secretary to the Treasury Fred Sonyamba are charged with 10 counts of willful failure to comply with laid down procedures and possession of property suspected to be process of crime. Mr. Yamba is charged with 2 counts of willful failure to comply with laid down procedure, while Mr. Malanji is facing 8 counts of being in possession of property suspected to be process of crime. Allegations are that between January 1st, 2020 and August 31st, 2021, Fred Sonyamba, as Secretary to the Treasury, jointly and whilst acting together with other persons unknown, failed to comply with the law in the manner he allegedly allocated and authorized the transfer of 108,401,197 kwacha to the Zambian Mission account in Turkey for the procurement of real estate, among others. It is also alleged in the other counts that Mr. Malanji, between January 1st, 2020, it is also alleged in the other counts that Mr. Malanji, on the same dates in Lusaka, possessed a Bell 430 Jet Ranger helicopter, property suspected of being process of crime. Trial in this matter continues. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Zambia Police Command has issued a stern warning to its officers involved in mounting unauthorized checkpoints and roadblocks, following numerous complaints from the public. In a statement issued to Camnet, Acting Inspector General of Police Milna Nyambango has stressed that such conduct will not be tolerated and urged officers to enforce traffic laws and regulations ethically and within the law. The Police Command has also encouraged the public to report any suspicious checkpoints or roadblocks and reminded motorists of their rights, including the right to request an officer's name and service number. You're watching the Camnet News at 19:30. We take a break, but still to come is international as well as sports news. Keep watching.
Are you looking for a reliable and efficient courier company with international standards? Then let UBZ Courier, your trusted partner in swift and secure deliveries, be your ultimate choice. Whether it's a small package or a hefty consignment, UBZ Courier handles it all, locally and internationally. Our modern call center ensures personalized attention for every client. For seamless deliveries within Zambia and beyond, trust UBZ Courier. Call us now on +260 763 062 680 or visit us at plot number 15 Mwapona Road, Woodlands, Lusaka, Zambia. UBZ Courier, a world-class brand that can be trusted.
Potatoes, the unsung heroes of flavor. From crispy chips to creamy mash, potatoes are the versatile superstars of your kitchen. Grown with love by our dedicated workforce drawn from around the community of Palavana. Savenda Farm's commitment is to see to it that we have potatoes that are grown right, healthy, big and tasty. For that quick fix or big celebration or that meal that brings family together, top chefs rely on the Savenda potato to create culinary masterpieces. And for others, it's that icebreaker to a delightful conversation. So, embrace the magic of Savenda potatoes. They're not just a side dish, they're the heart and soul of your kitchen. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
With this impending drought, it's time we look to alternatives of sustaining our crops. We as ISDP are promoting irrigation and water harvesting as the solution to challenges posed by climate change. Watch our 13-week series as we unfold the solutions for our crops. Catch us every Monday at 2040 hours, repeats every Tuesday at 1910.
Thank you for staying with us. In international news, part of Kenya's parliament building was on fire Tuesday as thousands of protesters against a new finance bill entered and legislators fled in the most direct assault on the government in decades. Journalists saw at least 3 bodies outside the complex where police had opened fire. The protesters had demanded that legislators vote against the controversial bill imposing new taxes on a country where frustrations over the high cost of living have simmered for years. Here's a roundup of international news.
Local media reported Tuesday afternoon that the protesters had broken through the barricades and entered the parliamentary complex where lawmakers were debating the contentious tax hike proposals. A section of the parliament building was reported to be on fire. Amnesty International said police had fired live rounds after being overwhelmed by protesters. There were also unconfirmed reports of fatalities. Kenya's military was summoned to reinforce the police, according to journalists. During the third reading of the bill on Tuesday, 195 members of parliament voted in support of the bill, while 106 voted to reject the proposed law. It now awaits the president's signature to become law. The mostly young demonstrators rallied near the parliamentary building early Tuesday in the capital Nairobi as riot police tried unsuccessfully to push them back. Senegal says it has detected COVID-19 in dozens of pilgrims returning from performing Hajj in Mecca. From tests conducted at Dakar's international airport, 78 cases of COVID-19 were recorded. Senegal's health ministry said the results are not surprising. It said returning pilgrims had been advised to wear masks and self-isolate. Authorities say they have stepped up surveillance. Saudi authorities on Sunday said more than 1,300 people died during this year's Hajj pilgrimage. They blamed the fatalities on extremely high summer temperatures. More than 1.8 million Muslims performed Hajj in 2024. Senegal alone sent 12,900 pilgrims.
Iran is poised to elect a new president on June 28. Speaking in Tehran, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei called Tuesday for maximum voter turnout. 6 candidates are vying for the presidency after Ibrahim Raisi died in a plane crash in May. The Islamic Republic has enemies. One thing that helps the Islamic Republic overcome its enemies is the elections. If a good turnout is seen in these elections, then it will make the Islamic Republic proud. Khamenei's comments in his hour-long speech drew repeated cries of death to America, death to hypocrites and infidels from a crowd gathered to mark the Shiite holiday of Eid al-Ghadir. The leader's call comes after a parliamentary election earlier this year saw a record low turnout. Iranians endure the consequences of Western sanctions that have crushed the nation's economy.
With the former coach of Ivory Coast gone, Roberto De Zerbi is poised to become Marseille's new coach. The French league club announced an agreement in principle provides that De Zerbi will replace Jean-Louis Gazet, who retired at the end of the French league season. The Italian, who left Brighton after 2 seasons in charge, led the Premier League club to its highest ever top flight finish of 60th, then to the last 16 of the UEFA Europa League. Here's a report.
With the former coach of Ivory Coast gone, Roberto De Zerbi is poised to become Marseille's new coach, the French league club announced. An agreement in principle provides that De Zerbi will replace Jean-Louis Gasset, who retired at the end of the French league season. The Italian, who left Brighton after 2 seasons in charge, led the Premier League club to its highest ever top flight finish of 6th, then to the last 16 of the UEFA Europa League. Marseille said in a statement late Monday that all parties involved were working to formalize the arrival of the Italian coach and his staff in the coming days. Marseille dominated domestic football in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Since US owner Frank McCourt bought Marseille in 2016, the club has seen a succession of coaches and crises.
That item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of stories making headlines. Police ordered to halt illegal checkpoints and roadblocks immediately. President HICHILEMA reverses decision on early parking of public service vehicles. Water crisis hits sub-compounds in MONGU district. And international news, protesters storm Kenya's parliament as MPs pass finance bill. And sports, former Brighton coach De Zerbi to join French league club Marseille. We now get to the Camnet verse for the day, coming from the book of Mark 11, verse 24. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. Many thanks for watching. On behalf of everybody involved in this production, my name is Naomi Sawyer. Pleasant viewing. Bye for now.